it's Kathy from StampsAndScrapbooks.com with a twist and fold card for you today that has a little pocket in the front for a tag and then a pocket inside for a gift card. So let's get started. So this is a really fun card that uses a half sheet of paper. So it's just cut down the center at 4 1/4. So this is some Whisper White paper, and we're going to be decorating it with the gorgeous grunge stamp set. And this is a fabulous stamp set that you can incorporate into almost any project because it really is a background, and then these two stamps really can pop into the foreground. Now what I'm looking for here is a pop of color, and I'm going to get that from my metal. So we're going to be taking our paper trimmer, and this is pretty simple. All you're going to do is take your score blade. So you want to make sure that your cutting blade is down here toward the bottom. I'm going to have to do it this way for you so you can see it on camera. So what we're going to do is take the corner and we're going to put it into the groove, and then we're going to take the next corner. So these are diagonal corners, and we're going to line them up so that both of them are in that score groove there. And then we're going to come down and we're going to score. And so that's going to give us this diagonal score. Next, we're going to take our bone folder and we're going to fold this over and we're going to score it. And that gives us this crazy funky looking thing here. We're going to fold this back and we're going to match up the bottom corner and the top corner, and then we're going to hold that down, and you don't want it to move like it just moved. So I'm going to push it down again, make sure that my corners are lined up, and then you really want to grab onto it and make sure it doesn't move. And then what we're going to be doing is just pushing this down and scoring it. So it's going to give you this great card that has a little pocket in the front and a little pocket on the inside. So I only want to decorate the front of my card here. So I'm going to come across with the first stamp, which is this one, and I'm going to be doing that one in the cherry cobbler. So I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm going to, I like to use the grid lines here because this card is deceiving and I want the stamp to go straight across. So I'm going to just come in here and press, and you'll notice that it's going on one side and then the other. Okay, I'm going to give that a second to dry. So I'm going to come in with my chocolate chip pad, and I don't want the brown to overtake the card because it's white. So I'm going to just ink up my splatter here, and this is like a light splatter. And I'm just going to do the top and the bottom without re-inking. And this is just bringing in subtle colors. I'm going to come in with my green and staying away from the orange for now because I don't really want to end up with too much color. I'm going to do this down here at the bottom. What I might do is just do a little piece of it right here. So you want to be careful. That's a big splatter. So this is what I'm going to have so far on the front of my card. Now don't forget, I'm going to have a big pop of color in here. So what I might do is just use this little splatter here and come in with some of the orange just down at the bottom. And you can decide what part of the stamp that you want. I'm going to ink the whole thing, but I really want just those little tiny dots there. And so I'm going to come in. You're going to go on and off the page. Now, one of the mistakes that people make when they're card making is they feel like they have to fill every bit of the space, and you don't. You want to leave a little bit of white space on there. So I'm just going to do the edge here, and I'm going to fold my card, and you want to stamp a little on, a little off, because you don't want to make it look like everything is just placed. And I think that's going to do it. I don't think I'm going to do anything with this space right here. So now I have my base card. Now what you can also do is you can add texture to this by putting it through an embossing folder, but we're not going to do that because I really just want the metal to do all the work. I'm going to be using the tag punch, and I'm going to just open that up and slide my metal in. I'm going to stay as close to the sides as possible because I don't want to use any more metal than I have to, because I like to save my metal and put it on everything. So this is all curled up. I can just turn it over and just flatten it with my brayer. And that's going to give me my tag. So now I want to put some texture on this tag. One of my favorite ways to add texture is just to do something like dots or something that really doesn't have a pattern. So I'm just going to put my metal into an embossing folder. So I have my tag in a decorative dots embossing folder, I have my multi-purpose platform open. I'm not going to put it on tab 1 because I'm going to leave the tag orange. If I wanted to rough up my tag to show some of the silver underneath the color, I would emboss on tab 1. So I want this to stay the way it is. You'll notice that my embossing pads are clean. They don't have any cut marks on them. So these are just dedicated embossing pads. Okay, so now we're just going to take this whole sandwich and we're going to just run it through the Big Shot. When it comes out, we have this great dotted embossed tag, and so this really has everything that it needs. I mean, I just need to put a greeting on here and we are good to go. This will add all kinds of bling to my little project. It'll stick out of my pocket here in the front if I want it to, or I could simply put it on the front as an addition. So I've chosen Grateful for You from the stamp set For All Things, and what I'm going to do is use Stampin' Write markers to color in my greeting because I want it to have a little more interest. And so I'm going to use the brush marker, and these are water-based markers. You don't want to put anything but water-based markers onto the rubber. So you're just going to swipe that on there, and then you can just do one color for one word and the other color for the others. This is Chocolate Chip, and this is just going to make my stamp two-tone. So when you color on your stamp with markers, as you're coloring, it kind of loses its moisture. So what you're going to do is huff on it. And then you're going to stamp it onto a piece of cardstock, and then you have your greeting. So now we're going to cut this out because it really is going to take up a decent amount of this, but I don't want it to hide too much of that tag. So I'm going to use a scissor and I'm going to cut these out, and then we're going to worry about placement. So one of the ways that I love to adhere to metal is glue dots. So we're going to just pick up a glue dot and we're going to put it behind the words so that we can just adhere them right on there. So with that straight, I'm going to do this. And I love my grid paper for this because it shows me how to line up, because that's a challenge that I have. Some people are really good at it. I am not one of them. So I line it up and I make sure that my edges are in the right place. So I'm going to have to shimmy this over just a tad to cover it. There we go. And now we're going to do the same thing with For and You. So I think that's pretty straight. So here's my Grateful for You, and I think we're going to hole punch the top and use a little ribbon. And I'm going to just come into the top and hole punch. And I'm going to be using the Early Espresso cotton ribbon. I'm just going to cut a piece. And if you cut your angles on the edges, it'll look prettier. So you want to do that. And then you're going to bring your edges together. And you're going to go from the back to the front. You're going to pull through, loop it. And then the trick to this always is you pull one at a time. This isn't going to tear because it's metal, but with paper, sometimes you'll tear it. I'm going to come back in and I'm going to cut this again because it was a little bit long for my taste. I don't want to overpower it. So that's what we have so far. I think it needs a little something down here at the bottom. So we're going to go to our pearls, and I color them with the Blendabilities alcohol markers. It's very simple. You just come in and you color. And then your pearl is permanently colored. Just when you cap this, you want to be careful, just push it in slowly, and then when you know it's in the right place, you're going to push, because I'm not sure if you can see, there's like a little place in there, it's like a little hole for the actual tip of the marker, so you don't want to mess up the tip. I'm going to pick it up with my scissor and position it right down here. That's my tag. So let's put this in here and see what we have. So I like it like that. It's just like a little subtle pop, but I still think that we need a little something else. So let's go back to our metal. So I have a scrap of metal here that might work. So let's measure this edge here, and the edge is going to be 4 1/4. Okay, so let's take our metal. So I'm going to cut the strip at 4 1/4. And then I want to cut it even smaller. Okay, so I have 2 strips, varying thicknesses. So I think the smaller one's going to work. So what I'm going to do is just put some glue dots on the back of this. And then I'm going to adhere it to the card. So I'm going to start here in the corner, but we're going to have to just cut a little edge on the corner so that it fits in here. And I'm going to try and get it as close to the edge as possible. And then I'm going to bring it up to the top. And then what you're going to do, you can always just shimmy it with your finger. Then you're going to come behind with your scissor and snip. Okay, so that's going to give you this little border here. Now what I like to do sometimes is go with my brayer behind and just give it a light little press to just straighten it out, but I don't want to get rid of the embossing, so you don't want to push too hard. So now if you look at the card, it has the little pop of orange on the edge, and it also has the little orange tag, which is just a great way to tie them in together. So here's your tag. When you open this up, you're going to put your gift card in there, but I just don't like the way this is nice and clean and empty in the back. So we're going to go back to our stamps, and we're just going to put a couple of random splatters on here because you don't want it to look really neat. You want it to all blend in together. And since this is a wider space and it doesn't have anything else on it, you can do those splatters without really worrying about them taking over. So now if you have an empty spot like that that bothers you, it does not bother me, but if it bothers you, you just come in with the matching marker and you can just fill it in. I'm a grunge girl, so I'm kind of used to imperfection, and it's not a bad thing to get used to because I think that we're very hard on ourselves. So you want to just kind of give yourself a break when you're crafting and embrace imperfection. I'm going to take this out so that I don't get anything on there. And this is the one you have to be careful about because this one is like hardcore grunge. And what you can even do to tie it all together is come back with your straight stamp, and you can just do a piece of it instead of the whole stripe, okay? And that looks kind of too neat, so let's put one on the bottom as well. So now you're going to put your gift card in the back, you're going to close your card, and you're going to come in with your tag in the front. So that's an adorable little card, just very simple. Now I don't like the way this is floating around here, so I'm going to teach you another trick. You're going to come in with your glue dots again, and as you can see, I use these for everything, and my trusty little paper piercer, and you're going to just pick up a glue dot, and you're going to put your tag in, and what you want to do is just come behind and push down. So you're going to create a smaller pocket, but your pocket's still going to be open, but not quite so open, so that your tag's not floating around all over the place. So here, your tag now fits into here, okay? And you can kind of have it coming out on the diagonal like that. So when you're through, you have this great twist and fold card that has a little pocket in the front and then a pocket on the inside for a gift tag. So if you have any questions for me, you can email me at Cathy@StampsandScrapbooks.com. If you'd like to join my mailing list, there's a sign-up box right in the corner, or if you're viewing this on YouTube, you can go to my website at www.StampsandScrapbooks.com.